Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's episode of Q&A with Dr. A and Dr. T. Episode 24, wow. It's hard to believe, isn't it? 24 weeks of coming at you with answers to your health questions. And they just keep coming, so we love that. Don't forget, scroll below this video. You'll find a button you can click on to send your questions for our weekly episodes. If you've got something, I'm going to throw a little challenge out to our listener base. And Dr. Tiffany, I'm sure you would agree with this. Let's make them challenging. See if you can come up with something either controversial, something that may stump me or make me have to go for a long amount of research. But they're good. I love your questions, and I know we have a lot of fun sort of answering them. But in all sincerity, we want to make this informative for you. We want it to be like a micro seminar, and hopefully, of course, you learn out of other people's questions. Other than that, as always, each week, join us on Saturdays. This Saturday specifically, we're doing something about pain and how pain is an acronym for something that you should actually look forward to. And I'm going to sort of tease you with that. You should look forward to your pain. That's this Saturday at 3 o'clock on 11:10 a.m. WBT. So what a treat for everybody tonight. First question says, regarding coffee enemas, how much coffee should I use? They have a variety of enema kits, so do I have a suggestion? So let's kind of break this apart. I think what I'm going to do is more or less take you guys step by step through how to do a coffee enema and give you some tips along that process. So just some stuff you're going to need. So let's see if Tom can zoom in on this for a moment. You need to get an enema kit. Now the reason I specifically like this one, not necessarily that it's on eBay, but a stainless steel enema kit is essential because we want the container to be free of toxins. We want you to be able to sterilize it. We want it to be inert, so it's not going to react with the coffee. It's not going to have pesticides or herbicides or anything that would be in like the plastics and things to that effect. No chemicals, no xenoestrogens, so stainless steel is the way to go. Now, for the sake of it, I said I just want to see what a good price stainless steel enema kit is. It's on eBay, it's new, it's sterile, it's in a container. If eBay freaks you out, just go on Google, but for about $40, you get a full stainless steel enema kit, which is basically going to be a bucket that has a little hole in it that lets you connect a surgical grade silicone tube to. And of course, since we're talking enemas, it has a tip that of course goes rectally. And this is simply just the method of getting the coffee into you. You can't do an enema without an enema kit, so definitely look into getting one of those. Next question says, or part of it is, how much coffee do I use? So most enemas are going to be about maybe a quart to maybe 2 quarts if you're a pro, but somewhere between 4 and 6 cups of water or whatever your enema solution is. So this sort of standard recipe is typically about 3 tablespoons of the ground coffee for 1 quart of the water. And that's a pretty decent sort of coffee enema solution. Now, how do we do this then? Well, of course, you got to put the water into a pot and bring it to a boil. Grind your coffee, let it sit in there and kind of soak and just strain the coffee grinds out. So I mean, use a French press. I don't know, make the coffee some way. Obviously, we want to use really clean, healthy coffee. So I like the Purity because this stuff is nitrogen packed. There's no air in here. And it's one of the only ones that's guaranteed to be free of pesticides and herbicides and fungus and molds because you don't want any of that going up, obviously, into your colon. So 3 tablespoons of ground coffee, 1 quart of water, which is about 4 to 5 cups. But the water needs to be specific. Don't use tap water. There's chlorine and fluorine. The best would be either RO or distilled. So you just basically brew the coffee. You want it to cool to about 103, maybe 102 degrees. So you need a thermometer to kind of track the progress. And then as simple as this sounds, you pour that into the enema kit. You lay down on your side or your back. The tube goes in through the rectum. You let the solution go into the colon. It's going to be warm, so it usually feels pretty good. And then you want to set a timer for 15 minutes and see if you can hold the solution that long. It's best to lay on your right side first because it pulls the liquids towards the liver, and then to lay on your back for a couple minutes just to slosh the intestines around. Then to lay on the left side to get it to drain to the opposite end. And if you can repeat that multiple times, you're washing your colon. And that's a great way to do a coffee enema. Last little tidbit was how often do I need to do this? Now, if you have cancer, sometimes we're doing this 3 or 4 times a day. If you have a health issue like a clogged liver or a gallbladder that's non-reactive, or you want to wash, say, like your intestines if you have leaky gut or something like that, it might be every day. So it really kind of varies depending upon the condition. I do them once a month. So regardless, I'm enema myself with a coffee enema once a month. So it's really hard, again, just to say, but it's somewhere between once a month and 3 or 4 times a day. And I'm going to let you decide sort of where you're at with that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, great question.
Next question is that I just read your blog on essential oils, and you talked about how difficult it is to find a good one, and if we have any recommendations. Absolutely. We recommend doTERRA oils, which we have a few here. I'll go into each one that we have here. And there you go. And then also Young Living. They're both comparable brands because they're therapeutic grade. They are all ingestible oils. What you can do with essential oils is you can diffuse them in a diffuser. If you've seen, all you do is add water, about 6-7 drops of the oil, and then it diffuses in the room of your house that you put it in. When it comes to, we'll go further into these, I do suggest ingesting oils when it comes to when you're fighting with bacteria or cold or something like that. I do suggest you ingest them, and you can always put them on your skin as well. It is sometimes advised to dilute them a little bit so your skin's not too irritated by it, with some coconut oil to every 3-4 drops. First we have the Breathe by doTERRA. Breathe is really good because what you can do is you can start off in the morning with a hot shower and put the couple drops in your shower so you breathe it in. This is the time of the year where you're getting a cold, you're getting congested, and it fights those things in your chest. It has cardamom in it, peppermint, eucalyptus, which are known oils to fight bacteria, to fight the inflammation in your bronchioles, and that's where this comes in. I do suggest getting a pack of vegetable capsules and doing this, and you get the vegetable capsules and you just pour the oil in the vegetable capsules, and you're making your own Breathe vitamin pills, and then you can take that first thing in the morning. You can take about 2 to 3 a day if you're dealing with congestion and a sinus infection and so forth. I really like that one. The next one is frankincense. As you know, frankincense and myrrh were brought to Mary when she had Jesus, and myrrh was known to be an antifungal, antispasmodic. So after having a baby, it was brought to Mary so that she could heal in her process, along with frankincense, which is also antifungal, anti-pain. So this is really good for muscle cramping, and it's really good for pain in your joints in this season. Overall, it is antifungal, antibacterial. So again, it goes along with if you do have a little bit of congestion or sinus control there. Again, I do suggest taking this orally. Grab a couple vitamin capsules, put it in there, a few drops, and ingest that daily. The thing about ingesting oils orally is it's a quicker process. It just goes straight to your bloodstream, and it can get to the problem quicker. So that's why we suggest that. The next one is On Guard. If you've been to the office, this is the one we like to diffuse in the office, especially this time of the year. It has orange peel, clove, cinnamon, also eucalyptus and peppermint in it. This is what you would use instead of antibacterial hand sanitizers. Are absolutely not good for you. They're taking away good and bad bacteria. You don't want to take away the good bacteria in this season because you need it to help fight off any bacteria you come across that's bad. On Guard is also good diffused daily in your house. There's also a study that proved that it fights the influenza. It fights the flu, essentially. So this would be great for you to take
orally or diffuse,
orally or diffuse. And then it's, like I said, it's an alternative to the antibacterials that are out there. And what better way to do something naturally than something that was chemically based? So I do suggest these 3 in this time and in this season.
Small word of caution also for just general, I'll call it essential oil use. Don't go to your classic sort of like wellness center or Earth Fare, Whole Foods or Healthy Home Market and buy the diffuser essential oils, the ones that are like $6 and are only designed to be put on little hot rings or to put into the air to breathe. Those are definitely not therapeutic grade sort of ingestible oils. doTERRA is one of the only companies that we know of. There's also Young Living, also makes an oil that can be ingested. But the key with these is they're very, very concentrated. So like to make this one bottle of frankincense, you're looking at a tremendous amount of the frankincense plant to be able to pull this off. So when you see this and you go $60 or whatever it costs, $50, it's partly because it's probably close to several pounds of frankincense plant to get the oil extract. Secondly, these things are extremely powerful. You don't need 30 drops of this. It's like 3 or 4 drops when you're making these capsules.
Yep.
So 3 drops of the Breathe oil and then coconut oil to fill the capsule the rest of the way. Very powerful. They work great. There's almost no side effects. And of course, you're not going to overdose or have any negative effects from like a medication would.
Absolutely.
So, next question says, do we have any sort of recommendations for natural treatments of asthma? Now, I'm answering this one for 2 reasons. It rings true to me. When I was born, I had tremendous amounts of asthma. I dealt with it all the way to my teenage years. I had done everything from inhaled corticosteroids to Preventol to Inhalin to CPAP machines to nebulizers. I mean, you name it. If there was something that was supposedly taken to help asthma, I was on it. And it didn't work. And I had asthma until I was 19. Now, at 20, no more asthma. And part of it is why I became a chiropractor in the first place. I got introduced to the concept of something called a visceral reflex. It's the idea that if your organs are failing, there's a reflex coming from the nerve system affecting the tissue. So the lung control zones of the spine are specifically T1 to about T5. Now, my condition was because I had a scoliosis in my upper back. So the chiropractor I met taught me about clearing the spine to clear organs and adjusting my spine to give more nerve power to my lungs so they could heal. And that's the very thing that they did. So the scoliosis disappeared, asthma disappeared. And so some people's asthma is a neurogenic cause. So I became a chiropractor because that rocked my world. Oh my gosh, literally 19 years of medications and hospital visits and emergency room visits, turning blue and wheezing and not doing stuff and not playing sports and just living misery. And 6 months of chiropractic care, all gone. Just, it was fascinating. So I do this because it's what made me who I am today. Second is all asthma is an inflammatory condition. Unless you were born with it, and even though I was born with it, we learned it was because of my birth process that gave it to me. Unless you're genetically supposedly born with asthma, which is, to my knowledge, non-existent, it's an inflammatory condition, which means the lungs are inflamed. So the bronchioles won't open, the muscles are in a spastic state, and you can't pull air in. And various irritants will, of course, aggravate that. So you're going to hear the classic things like it's pollen, it's allergies, it's this, it's that, it's the air quality. That's why you have asthma. And that's not true. That's the trigger for the asthma. So here's sort of the natural treatments. Number 1, clear the thoracic spine, T1 through T4. If there's scoliosis, if there's any curvatures, it can be creating it. Number 2 is to recognize because it's inflammatory, anything you can do to decrease your inflammation will greatly help asthma. So that's cutting out sugar, cutting out grains, cutting out dairy, the classic sort of cellular healing diet. But something to speak specific to asthma that helped me a lot is the idea that there are foods that can decrease inflammation of the lungs. And mostly what they are the green things. So like kale and broccoli, spirulina, which is a really, really good microgreen algae that works for asthma. Chlorophyll, again, a great sort of green liquid additive you can put in your water. And then magnesium, because it's a smooth muscle relaxer, because again, a lot of asthma is the constriction of the vessels within the lungs. What I had specifically done was while I was getting chiropractic care, I got introduced to chlorophyll. So all the water I drank for almost 6 months straight, I would squirt up a vial of the chlorophyll and then put it into the water. And yes, it turns the water green like a swamp, but it's basically tasteless. The concept of it is chlorophyll is the blood of a plant, and so it's high in oxygen. It's also high in magnesium, which we need. And so, of course, when you drink it, you're giving yourself the greens, the anti-inflammatories, the oxygen, and the magnesium. So that alone can sometimes set people free with it. So it's avoiding those foods, cutting out dairy products, wheat products, sugar products, adding the greens, getting adjusted, and you will almost always see the lungs clear from asthma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Next question is, there's a lot of talk about the superbug. I'm not trying to be paranoid, but I'm a little worried. Any thoughts on how to avoid contracting that? And I will talk to you from experience. I had MRSA as a kid, and my parents brought me to the hospital. It's a huge bacterial infection, and they try so many man-made antibacterials that they keep giving you. They bring you to the hospital where that contracts more MRSA. If you know about MRSA, it is contracted in the hospital, so why would you go there when you have it? And it's a little backwards. So I did go the medical route as a child, and then I got it again later in life. And I said, absolutely not. I will not do that route because it made it worse. I had more inflammation. The redness was crazy. And I had to get it physically lanced, and someone had to squeeze. It was gross. Someone had to squeeze out the infection of my leg. It was awful. I couldn't even walk on my leg for a week. So after experiencing that, the second time I got it, I said, absolutely not. I'm going to do something natural. There are natural antibacterials. Oil of oregano is one. Turmeric paste. What you do with turmeric paste is you make it yourself. You get turmeric and you mix it with coconut oil and you ingest it, and you can put it on your skin physically. Also, tea tree oil. We just talked about the essential oils, and tea tree oil is something that I would highly suggest in that area is to take it orally, so it gets to the root of the cause of the problem, to attack the bacteria that is ultimately attacking your body and your skin. And lastly is hydrogen peroxide bath. You want to take a hydrogen peroxide bath with 35% therapeutic grade hydrogen peroxide in a hot bath. What the hydrogen peroxide does is it fuels your body with oxygen, and the more oxygen you have in your body is going to kill off the bacteria. And in doing all of those things, I became well. I fought off my own superbug, if you will, without having to go to the hospital where I could endanger others or make it worse on my own just by going there. So I highly suggest that. On top of known things that you should be doing in this season is, getting your vitamin D, protecting your microbiome in your gut, and also staying active and getting plenty of sleep in a preventative manner. But if so, go back to the alternative methods. If you get it, go back to the alternative methods.
And I'll say this as one thing, as a way to prevent. If you notice something she says most people that get MRSA get it from going to a hospital. Mm-hmm. And MRSA is one of the many different sort of superbugs. So the biggest thing for you would be just don't get into that medical system in the first place. I've never had it. I never plan on getting it. We catch it from certain different sources. But regardless of that, the fear, I think, comes from the idea that if you're afraid of a superbug, it would tell me that you're still living in that medical model of the idea like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know what to do. But if I get it, at least they'll know what to do with it. But you just learned that they really don't. They created the superbugs by overprescribing medications and antibiotics in the first place. Nature has never been overprescribed. Nature will always win when it comes to things we create by man. So we created this sort of superbug. Natural products will always be a best resort for them. And listen, most of this stuff you can do therapeutically as maintenance anyway. There's nothing wrong with taking a couple drops of oregano oil, turmeric on the side as part of your daily routine. Coating your skin with coconut oil every day, because that would be a great sort of protective barrier against catching a superbug. But in all honesty, the stats are really low. I don't think you need to worry if you are healthy. But if you're unhealthy, you should be worried like crazy, because I'm at the ER a lot, I'm at my urgent care, I'm at my hospital, I'm at the doctor's office. That's what I would worry about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so next question says, okay, cereal's bad, fruit's bad, sugar's out, I don't have time to make breakfast, eggs take too long. What do you recommend is a good breakfast? So, there's two kind of approaches to this question. The first is, you're right, okay? So we don't want cereal, we don't want fruit. You say you don't have enough time to make eggs. I'll talk about that in a moment. But in all honesty, in my opinion, the best way is just cut the breakfast. If you don't have time for it, skip it. In fact, we're learning today that intermittent fasting is one of the greatest things you can do for your health. I haven't had breakfast in probably 6 years. And the idea of that is your body has 16 hours of reserve fuel. Some of you have hundreds of 60 hours of reserve fuel with the fats and the proteins that you have on you. There's nothing wrong with skipping a little bit of a meal every single day. Now, what I do instead of eating breakfast is I drink it. Now, where I'm at personally, I drink it by doing the coffee with 3 types of fats, MCT, coconut, and butter, because a high-fat, hot coffee drink for breakfast will fuel me till about 2 o'clock. Now, I've been preparing my body for that, so maybe in the beginning when you do it, it'll last you till 11, which would be great. Another thing you could do if you're just a beginner is start to invest in the idea of having a smoothie for breakfast. If you don't have time to cook eggs, smoothies are easy. Mm-hmm. Dump it all in a blender, blend for about 10 seconds, maybe 30 at the most, put it into a cup and off you go. So that's could be option number 1. But I do want to talk about this. I don't have time to make eggs, because last time I checked, it takes maybe 60 seconds to scramble some eggs. So if you're truly that rushed, My thought might be you're not a good manager of your time, or you're just not thinking about things ahead of time. Like if I'm that stressed in the morning because I have that little time, I would boil probably 12 eggs the night before, hard boiled style, pre-shell them, put them in a Ziploc bag or some sort of a container and have them ready to go just to take with me, because there's protein on the go. Another thing I might do is maybe get like a really good high quality breakfast bar. I use the Essentials bar partly because we made this for the necessity of the fact that there's no real good breakfast bars, but it's almost all fat. Very little sugar, very moderate amounts of protein, so it's a really good cellular healing style breakfast. How easy is it to just tear this open and take it with you? Another option could be, of course, preparing yourself in advance, maybe making the smoothie the night before and keeping your refrigerator. But in all, the best answer I have is don't worry about this. You shouldn't be eating breakfast anyway if you want to get healthy. Skip all of this and wait till lunch, make your coffee, have your smoothie, take a bar, and start planning ahead. That'd be my advice.
So that's absolutely right. Just skip breakfast. I've been intermittent fasting for like the past 6 months. I'm not hungry in the morning at all. I drink my coffee, just like Dr. Ernst, with my butter and my MCT oil, and it truly holds me over to the afternoon. And it's an absolutely great way to start your day. You'll actually have more energy than if you did eat in the morning. Because sometimes if you eat something, usually maybe you're eating something like fruit or cereal, which you'll crash afterwards. So it's best just to skip breakfast. It is not the most important meal of the day, absolutely.
But wouldn't you agree, though, that that's the challenge? Most people have been taught their whole life that you have to have a really good quality breakfast, otherwise you're not going to make it throughout the day. So lots of protein and bacon and eggs and oatmeal and cereals and toast and all that stuff. Yeah. And the challenge is, who designed that are the people that are very, very sick in the first place. Yep. And it's the industry that's trying to make you pay for all this stuff that you don't want to do. The weight loss industry, the food industry, everybody's trying to teach you the wrong thing to do because that's how they make money off of your poor health down the line.
Absolutely.
Okay, so last question. Wow, that's gone by fast. Says, I want to lose weight, but when I do it, I keep gaining it back. It's a constant battle. How do I finally win the war on weight loss? Okay, so this is something that everybody deals with. It's the yo-yo sort of dieting, right? We do something for a period of time, we get good results with it, and then we pull back and we get bad results. So then we get guilty about getting the bad results. We go back in and out and in and out. And the yo-yo styles typically because of doing calorie counting, carb counting, or sort of restriction diets. Because your body can only truly go so long with restricting certain nutrients. Now, some of what we teach is, yes, no grains, no fruits, no dairies. It sounds restrictive, but when you look at the foods you can eat, it's have as much of them as you want. So when we talk about healthy fats, clean proteins, green vegetables, you're never going to be in a desire of a lack or a want, and so you'll start to be able to eat as much as you want. The old phrase used to be, you could eat like an elephant, but yet look like a gazelle if you eat foods that are healing and not foods that are appealing. And so I think part of what you might have been doing is the whole yo-yo style. Okay, I'm going to count my calories, I'm going to cut my carbs, I'm going to do all this stuff, and it works temporarily, but your body is not a chemical machine. It has to have a certain amount of nutrients, so you'll bounce back just simply as a state of your body saying, I've had enough of this. So a couple things that you could do is this. We can look at the idea that your weight's really not about what you eat. I know a lot of people think that I have to change my diet to lose weight. But in fact, you can look at your diet as more of a supporter for your health, for your body. So here's what I mean by that. There are people who eat poorly but are actually quite skinny. And there are people that eat very healthy and are actually quite overweight. So if what you ate was your weight, then that would be impossible. Mm-hmm. What we're now learning today is it's more about the bacteria in your intestines that actually change your weight. As a classic example, let's say Dr. Tiffany is 70, 80, 90, 100 pounds overweight. Not that she is, but let's say she is. And she's done all of that. She's tried to diet, she's done the gym, she's done the stuff, and I donate my bacteria from my intestines to her. What you're going to find out is she's not going to change anything about her lifestyle, but she'll instantly start to lose weight. Now let's do the opposite. If she's 100 pounds overweight and I take her gut bacteria and I either ingest it or it's put inside of me, because her gut bacteria runs her immunity and runs her health, without me changing anything, I will become overweight. And they've actually done studies on this with mice and other animals. So we now know that your weight is actually more a reflection of your health. So if you're up, down, it means your health is also up and down. So the general approach that I would have for you is maybe more or less stop looking at weight loss as your goal, but look at health as your goal. Maybe there's something deeper going on with either a condition within, say, your intestines, irritable bowel, leaky gut, could be just an inflammatory condition. Maybe it's something like your liver's congested, your gallbladder's not working properly, or some organ has been removed and you're lacking some of the nutrition that's there. Yep. The biggest advice, though, that I can give to somebody to get out of the yo-yo dieting is to seek some professional help. If you've been doing all of this by yourself and you're getting frustrated, it's time to find somebody who knows exactly what to do. I mean, we do this for a living. This is part of what I do day to day, is I coach people on how to turn their life around. Without knowing you personally, it's really hard for me to say, here's exactly what you need to do. But I can tell you this, when you approach your weight by looking at your health and you fix your health, you will always lose weight, it will always stay down, and as long as you maintain your health, you'll never yo-yo and jump back to what that new weight is. And in my opinion, some of the easiest ways to do that is to stop restricting your diet, start testing your body and finding out what you need rather than what you don't need. Hopefully that helps to answer you, but I get it. It's so frustrating. I will say, for those of you who are kind of, frustrated about weight and weight loss and everything else, I mean, come on, it's the holidays.
Yeah.
We kind of, all of us are checking out, at least some people are. And come in the next 4 or 5 weeks, everybody's going to go, it's New Year's, go to the gym, work out, do all this. I've got to lose weight. I've got to lose weight. So we have a great resource for you. If you scroll down below this video, you'll find some information on how to register for our New Year, New You. It is sort of a weight loss extravaganza for your health. Yep. It's what I just talked about. It's about fixing your health so your weight becomes the side effect. It's about changing your life so you get off medications. It's about fixing the why in your life so that we don't keep going back and forth and losing our motivation. And listen, right now, registration is free. Come January, though, I guarantee you the tickets are going to have a cost price for you to attend, because usually our events pack out when I do weight loss events. So scroll down below the video. It's, I think, the third Saturday. It's the 21st, I believe, third Saturday of January. And that would be a great thing for you and anybody you know that needs to lose weight to come to. And so with that, what a great night tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys each and every week. Until then, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Good night.